important. We're talking to Obie Scott Wade, who's the author of Audrey and the creator of Shizao. He was just recounting a story about his work with Mr. Rogers. So, Obie, I cut you short. Was there anything you wanted to add to that?
Well, I do want to thank, Donna Mitroff, who was my boss at the time at WQED Pittsburgh, the home of Mr. Rogers, for giving me my break in entertainment. She gave me my first job and really believed in me as a creative person, and made me believe that I could, do it. And so that was the start for me. So I'm very appreciative to QED and Donna. And I'm now serving on the Blue Ribbon panel for the Fred Rogers Scholarship. Every year, Mr. Rogers Foundation gives out 3 scholarships through the Academy of Television Arts and Sciences, and I get to participate in that and review the applications and help choose the winners. So
that sounds great. I've actually, I know Donna, and although I never met Fred Rogers, but it sounds like it's a great opportunity because they're both very grounded people,
And Donna Mitroff and her husband Ian Mitroff have just written a book about Mr. Rogers' philosophies and how they apply to the workplace, and it's an awesome book. I think corporations should take on a lot of Mr. Rogers' philosophies. It would be great.
Be interesting to see Tim Cook in a sweater.
Yeah, there you go.
But so one of the projects you worked on that I really find just hilarious and just a great work is Al Roach Insectigator. And tell us about that, and what was it like to work with James Garner?
Al Roach, Private Insectigator, was a dream come true, and because of getting to work with James Garner. It's about a colony of insects that live in the weeds behind the Hollywood sign, and they mirror the golden era of Tinseltown. So you've got characters like Beetle Davis and Humphrey Bogart and Marilyn Monroe, and they go to Groundworm's Chinese Theater. It's old Hollywood with bugs, and James Garner is the lead detective in this town. And it was a blast. We had the most amazing cast. We had Michelle Forbes as the femme fatale. We have Freddie Rodriguez from 6 Feet Under. And working with Mr. Garner was one of the best experiences of my life. I grew up loving his work, and when I finally got to meet him, I met him in the parking lot before we went into the studio, and I was like kind of nervous. And I was like, "Oh, good morning, Mr. Garner." And he's like, "Oh, please call me Jim." And I knew he meant it. And we hit it off, and we had a fantastic day. And the short came out great. We produced it for Turner Classic Movies, and I just had a great time working with them as well. Charlie Tabish over there was awesome. But we got done with the record, because this was an animated property, CGI, black and white animation, and Jim, asked us if we could recommend a place for breakfast, and somebody started recommending these very kind of trendy hoity-toity places in the area on Melrose Avenue, and he said, "No, is there an IHOP?" We're like, "Yeah, there's actually one right around the corner." I wish I'd gone with him, but I had to stay and record other people. So it was awesome. And, that short aired on Turner Classic Movie Channel and was featured in several film festivals and actually won some awards. So it was great. It's online as well, if you can Google it. So.
It's on your website at obieco.com.
That's right.
And so Audrey is what I was teasing you earlier, that you are a sellout, but not in the traditional sense of the word. You've actually sold out on your first printing of Audrey.
Yes, the bookstores that are carrying Audrey, a couple of them have sold out and have reordered, larger batches of the books. But because the book sells on Amazon.com, it is, and it's printed on demand. Okay. I don't think you really can completely sell out unless Amazon runs out of paper, and I don't think that's going to happen.
I haven't heard that happening. Yes. The sky is not upside down or anything like that, so I think they still have plenty. So, and one thing I wanted to highlight was that proceeds from this book are going to certain charities. Which charities and why is that?
The San Francisco Center for the Prevention of Child Abuse is one of the organizations, and we've been fortunate enough to send our first payment to them. We're also supporting Stop Abuse Now. And the reason I chose those organizations is because there are some difficulties that one of the characters goes through in the book that kids will identify as abusive. And it obviously, I'm not going to give anything away, but, one of the reviews on Amazon talked about how, kids in real life have to go through difficult things, and most kids' books and media don't ever address those things, but Audrey has done so in a way that is kid-friendly and child-appropriate.
And affirming.
And affirming, yes, and courageous. And it's for kids 6 to 11. And the book itself, I'm really pleased with the way that it came out in its design. I just have to give props to Josh Wolf, who designed the book and the website, audrey.com.
And the cover is just spectacular.
Yeah, that's Mayo Yoshirino, the artist from Japan, and the illustrations inside are also by her.
Now, the thing about the cover is it has the top half of a face, and I've seen people, and I understand a lot of people are doing is holding it up on their face themselves and taking a selfie with the bottom half of their face and the top half of it being Audrey.
Yeah, they're getting Audreyized. A little boy sent that to me, and I put it on the Audrey Facebook page, and then other parents started sending me pictures with their kids doing it. But I have to give credit to Greg Escalante, my dear friend, who is the godfather of the custom culture art movement, the owner of Juxtapose magazine, and the Copro Gallery in Los Angeles. He consulted me on the cover of the book. I had some original artwork done for it, and he said, you know what? You just need to have those big eyes kind of peeking up from the bottom like she's looking in a window.
Right.
Said, you're right. And that's what people have said to me when, they talk about finding the book in a bookstore. It's like, it was the eyes. We saw it on the shelf. It looks like she's looking up at you. So, Greg, that was $1 million idea, and now all the kids are getting Audreyized. And adults, too. I just got one from a woman, I can't remember where she's from, but she said, will you post my picture? And I said, oops.
We're in radio. We don't get that. But, well, it's time to put my sweater back on. So we only got a couple minutes left, Obie. If people want to learn more about you and your work, where should they go?
I think their first stop would be audrey.com, ODDRY.com. There's links there to the book. There's information about the book. There's information about my company. And also obieco.com is a good place to visit.
Great. Well, I want to thank you. It's been great having you. Are you going to do a sequel?
Yes, I'm outlining it right now.
Great. I may want to have it set in North Korea because you get a lot of publicity that way. But but that's all we have for this week. Next week, we're going to have our annual Heroes Reunite. Dan Tynan and Brendan